Hello and welcome to the Monday episode of 7am English. Today we will talk about the future simple tense, and this is going to be our first future tense that we discuss. Even though most learners are familiar with the structure of the future simple given here, it's still one of the most confusing English tenses and most difficult ones for both teachers to explain and students to learn, simply because the modal verb will, used here as the auxiliary or the helping verb, has so many different functions in so many different structures in English. And not to mention, the future simple itself has two types, will and going to. Here I will try to show the proper usage for both forms of the future simple in an easy to understand way. So hopefully by the end of this video, many structures that might have been confusing until recently will become clearer and easier to use for you. Essentially, English uses three tenses and four different structures to talk about future events. These are given here on screen as future simple with its two different forms, present progressive and future progressive. Basically, we need these different structures to talk about quick actions, planned appointments or planned actions, already made decisions, and predictions. One of the main differences between the four structures shown previously is in how sure are you that this action you are talking about will happen. It helps here to consider will as your safe choice. Pretend that will is this huge blanket which covers all possible situations and all possible solutions. But because this will blanket is so big, it's not very strong. Therefore, it's most commonly used to show decisions which are not planned, but are made on the spot at the moment of speaking. So we use it to talk about future actions which have about 80% probability of happening. In comparison, the present progressive is used for planned future actions and scheduled future actions, especially when it comes to personal plans, agendas, and personal schedules. But if we have will for most unplanned future actions, and we have the present progressive for most planned future actions, then why do we need to be going to in the first place? Well, we also need something to show a decision, a strong plan, or a very high chance that something will happen in the future. If you're a fan of manga or anime, it might help you at this point to think about One Piece. The main character, Monkey D. Luffy, usually says, "Kaizoku wo ni ore wa naru." The official translation of this into English is, "I am going to become the Pirate King." Specifically because going to structure is connected with these strong decisions and strong plans. So to summarize what we talked about until now, if you don't want to dig deep into details and detailed differences between these structures, at least remember this. Use will for decisions and plans you just made. Use the present progressive to talk about appointments, and use to be going to talk about scheduled and planned actions. Now, to go into a bit more detail for those of you who are interested, the quick decisions or quick plans we just mentioned are often connected with offers, refusals, agreements, promises, and requests. This is made possible by the modality of the verb will. Take a look at these 5 examples on screen right now. In all of these cases, it would be very unnatural to use ing, even though the situation is happening right now at the moment of speech, because it's obvious that the speaker has just made this decision. The present progressive, used for planned appointments, has been explained in detail in the present progressive video, so please take a look at that for more information. As for to be going to, it's most commonly associated with already made decisions. In practice, this means that if I say I'm going to have shrimp for lunch tomorrow, this decision has already been made in the past. Now, a very important difference between to be going to and the present progressive used in its future sense is that with the to be going to structure, a decision has been made, but maybe the arrangements, the organization of this idea still hasn't started. So if I say, I'm going to have cake for dinner, it doesn't mean I have cake in my fridge. It doesn't mean that I went and bought it. I've just made the decision, nothing else. But using the present progressive for these purposes has the meaning of me already taking steps to achieve this decision. So if I say, I'm having cake for dinner, the listener would understand that I have already taken steps to make sure this happens. Probably I already bought the cake. It's in my fridge. Everything's ready. To be honest, this difference is not huge. And in real life, in most cases, you will probably be able to choose freely between to be going to and present progressive. But for those of you who really want to focus on their accuracy, I hope this will be a useful tip. When talking about predictions, we can use both will and to be going to. A prediction is basically just our opinion on an event or action which may or may not happen in the future. And we use different structures to show the probability or the chances of this event or action happening or not happening. We can make predictions about anything, including ourselves, the people around us, and the entire world. However, sometimes these predictions are based on evidence or things we can see happening, and they have a much higher chance of coming true. Generally speaking, predictions using will have much lower chances of coming true than predictions using to be going to. And predictions with will are commonly modified by adding probably, most likely not, etc. Take a look at the examples on screen. In all of these sentences, we're using will to give a prediction about the future. Now, an interesting thing to note here is that in all these sentences, we can replace will with going to. But it's usually not possible to replace going to with will. This is because going to is used for predictions under special circumstances. And one of those special circumstances is when we have the reason for our decision given in context. Take a look at these example sentences on screen. In all of them, we have the reason why we believe our prediction has a high probability of coming true. Still, it's possible to enhance this chance even more by adding definitely, most likely, etc. to the sentence. Another important side note to remember is that will is not a good combination with when. So if I say a sentence like, I want pizza when I will come back home tonight, this sentence is not correct. When is a time clause, and will cannot be used in time clauses. So if you're starting a sentence with when and it's not a question, don't use will. Finally, let's look at the passive form for both will and to be going to structure given here on screen. The passive form for both of these structures is very common and used daily in English. It's most often used when we want to focus on the result of something happening without involving the subject. Also, using the future passive has a more dignified, a more polite sound than just using the basic future. Thank you very much for watching this video today. If you have any questions about the future simple, please leave them down in the comments and I will reply as soon as possible. Have a very nice Monday and a very successful week. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much.